Let me tell you something that'll make you question your entire sense of safety at home. 6:15 in the morning, I step out to grab the newspaper and I stop dead in my tracks. My heart actually skips because I'm staring at a 3-foot deep trench wrapped all the way around my house. Not a little hole, not a pile of dirt. I'm talking a medieval moat. Last night, everything was normal. Now my family's 3-generation property looks like we're under siege by a tiny passive-aggressive army with construction equipment and a grudge. And the craziest part, there's not a sound. No engines, no voices, no morning traffic. Just mountains of dirt and perfect surgical lines cut through my lawn like a crew of ghostly engineers showed up and went to town in total silence. Whoever did this, I think they've either invented silent excavators or I slept through the second coming of the Mongols. You know what I mean? But see, that's where they screwed up. Because every single inch of my property was under camera surveillance. 12 cameras, night vision cloud, back up the whole paranoid package. I put them in after the local homeowners association, the new one with the iron-fisted president, started getting real weird. More on that in a minute. For now, just know I've got 6 hours of high-def footage of whoever thought this was a good idea. I'm just standing there trying to wrap my head around it. Last night at 9, I took out the trash, checked the mailbox, nothing weird. No signs, no warnings, no city notices about digging up the street, nothing. But in the space of a single night, someone managed to dig 280 feet of trench, surround my whole house, and leave no witnesses. You ever have one of those moments where you wonder if you've finally lost your mind? Yeah, that happened. I dial 911, hands shaking. I tell the dispatcher, who sounds like she just got out of high school, that someone dug a trench around my house overnight. I can hear her skepticism, like she thinks I'm mad about a neighbor putting up a new fence or planting the wrong color hydrangeas. An officer will be there within 2 hours, she says. Right. Sure. So I start going door to door asking neighbors what they saw or heard. Mrs. Patterson next door, always quick to complain if someone mows at 7:01 a.m., swears she didn't hear a thing. I'm a light sleeper, she says, eyes darting everywhere but at me. Mr. Anderson across the street uses almost the same exact words. Clark Williams, everyone, same story. Didn't hear a thing. 8 people within spitting distance of my lawn, and nobody heard a convoy of heavy machinery. That's when the hairs stand up on my neck. Either everyone's lying or there's a cover-up going on. Or maybe both. I walk the perimeter, and the details get weirder. The trench follows my property line perfectly right down to the inch. There's evidence of survey stakes, tire tracks from 4 different vehicles, marks from generators, rope burns on the trees where they anchored tarps. Not some random prank, but a military-grade operation. I get this sick feeling in my stomach like I'm being targeted for something way bigger than a property dispute. Then it hits me, the cameras. I rush inside, boot up the system, and scroll through last night's footage. Every single camera worked perfectly from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. 6 straight hours, 12 angles, crystal clear video and audio. I've got these people dead to rights. Whoever planned this didn't count on the one paranoid neighbor with the good cameras. Let me tell you, if you're ever going to be paranoid, pick the right day. But before I get to what's actually on those recordings, you need to know how I got here. Because all of this, it's just the final act in a long, ugly play, one that started when Rebecca Thompson moved into the neighborhood and decided she was going to save us all from ourselves. She showed up last spring, bought the biggest house on the block, and within months had formed the homeowners association. First meeting, she's got a slideshow. My house is slide 1. Arrow circles a list of aesthetic violations. Fence 2 faded mailbox, the wrong color. My property doesn't fit the neighborhood vision. She's smiling the whole time, but there's a chill in her eyes that says this isn't a suggestion. We have a buyer ready to offer fair market value, she says, voice all honeyed threat. Wouldn't you rather relocate somewhere more suitable? I don't think so, Rebecca. My family's owned this place 40 years. My dad built it. My mom planted every tree. This isn't just land, it's home. But after that meeting, things get dark fast. Surveyors show up poking around my yard. Drones buzzing overhead at 7 every morning, filming God knows what. Certified letters demanding tens of thousands for zoning violations that didn't exist. Property taxes suddenly triple somehow. My house gained a second story and a pool in city records. Every day, a new headache. Phone calls at 2 a.m. that hang up as soon as I answer. Neighbors I've known 15 years suddenly look right through me. It felt like the entire world had gone cold and small. I hire a lawyer. He confirms what I already suspected. They're making it all up. Selective enforcement, targeted harassment, intimidation. Document everything he says, so I do. And that's when I get the idea for the cameras. Installing those cameras felt like digging in for a siege, which, as it turns out, is exactly what I needed. I figure I'll catch a few nosy neighbors, maybe a stray cat or two. I never dreamed I'd catch a coordinated felony in progress. So I'm back at my computer organizing hours of footage from last night when I start to realize just how deep this goes. At 11:47 p.m., 2 white vans and a pickup pull up, block the intersection. 8 people pile out, no random teenagers but grown adults moving with military precision. They unload portable lights, surveying gear, and what looks like sound-dampening foam. That's the twist. They're not just digging. They've got technology to keep the whole operation quiet. On one camera, I catch their leader front and center giving orders, and the blood drains from my face. It's Rebecca. In person. Not hiding, not directing from the shadows. She's standing there with a clipboard telling her goons, "Make it deep enough to damage the foundation. He'll have to sell." Her voice is clear as day on the audio. She knows insurance won't cover this kind of damage. She knows exactly what she's doing. They work for hours, rotating crews, never missing a beat. At 3:15, one of my cameras goes dark for 47 seconds, just long enough for Rebecca to stare straight at the lens and then disappear. Did she see it? Was that a message? When the feed comes back, everyone's working faster with more urgency. They wrap up just before dawn, clean up after themselves, and vanish into the early morning fog. By the time the sun comes up, I'm standing in my yard staring at a trench and the smoking gun to end all smoking guns. Now I have all the evidence I'll ever need, every face, every voice, every instruction recorded in glorious 4K, but the whole thing leaves me with a question I can't shake. If they realized they were on camera, why did they keep going? Were they just that arrogant, or was something bigger going on? A catalog. Everything: timestamps, violations, conversations about bribing inspectors and sabotaging my wiring if the trench didn't do the trick. The audio's chilling. If the foundation damage doesn't force him out, we've got other ways, Rebecca tells her crew. We have friends in City Hall. Suddenly, I'm not just fighting a neighbor with too much time on her hands. I'm up against a corruption ring. And there's this young guy on the crew, the only one who looks nervous. He actually tries to talk Rebecca out of it. "Mrs. Thompson, this could cause real damage." She cuts him off. "Just do what you're told." Something tells me he's going to be the first one to flip when the feds show up. When I finally call the sheriff, Williams old school, the kind of guy who's seen it all, he shows up, takes one look at my lawn, and just mutters, "Jesus Christ." He's seen vandalism, sure, but nothing like this. I show him the footage, and his face goes from skepticism to pure rage. He knows Rebecca. He's worked with her on community improvement projects. You can almost see the pieces falling into place in his mind. Within an hour, he's on the phone with the district attorney. They loop in the feds. The plan: public arrests. At the next HOA meeting, Rebecca's favorite stage, poetic justice right. When the meeting comes, I watch from the back row as Rebecca opens with her usual speech about community values. Half the neighbors are just there for free coffee, clueless about what's coming. Suddenly, Sheriff Williams and 3 federal agents walk in. "Rebecca Thompson, you're under arrest for conspiracy, property destruction, and federal civil rights violations." The whole room stops breathing. Rebecca tries to bluster her way out. "This is a mistake. You have no proof," but then the agents play the video. Her face, her voice, everything. And that young contractor, he's already agreed to cooperate, spilling every detail about the operation, the bribes, the payoff from the development company. The room turns on Rebecca in an instant. People I thought would never speak up. "Mrs. Patterson?" Mr. Anderson stand up and confront her about the lies, the manipulation, how she convinced them to turn their backs on me. Neighbors who once ignored me now line up to apologize, to bring over cookies, to ask how they can help. Rebecca gets let out in handcuffs right there in front of everyone she ever tried to control. Federal charges, RICO municipal corruption, the whole book thrown at her and her cronies. Within weeks, every single person involved is facing years in prison. The development company collapses under the investigation. My property gets restored, the trench filled the lawn, replanted, paid for by the seized HOA funds and settlement money. And the neighborhood. Well, something strange happens. People start talking again. Mrs. Patterson brings me pie. The suspicious stares disappear, replaced by real smiles. We even plan a little memorial garden where the trench used to be property rights protected by truth and evidence. Never again. Rebecca gets 17 years, no parole. That young contractor, the one with a conscience, walks away with probation and a second chance. City officials who helped Rebecca banned from public service for life. I look around my restored yard, my family's trees still standing, my father's house safe again, and I feel something I haven't in months: peace. Real, honest peace. The story blows up in the news. State hearings start about HOAs and property rights. Maybe things actually change. Maybe. But here's what sticks with me. They thought they could break me, that the system would protect them. But in the end, it was a couple cheap cameras, a stubborn streak, and a community finally waking up that brought them down. So what do you think? Is justice just about the law, or is it about the people who refuse to stay quiet? Ever had someone try to take what's yours, convinced you'd never fight back? I want to hear about it. Drop your thoughts below. Do you think what I did was enough? Was it justice? Or did I just get lucky? Tell me your story. Because next time it could be your neighbor or you on the other side of that trench.